Honestly, this is the first time for me as well to do something like this, but did you rewatch the vault of the game we played?
Yo.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, I personally was very impressed with your gameplay, especially on a mechanical level, mainly because you are an Emerald level player, right? So I thought, truthfully, that you were either a Smurf from a higher MMR, or you just were playing an absolutely insane game.
Every move you made, I was watching you.
If you are serious about improving and climbing to your desired league rank, you're in the right place. This year, I've worked on laying out 2 courses that will help you in all aspects to improve. One is about all the fundamentals for the laning phase, and the other one goes in depth on tempo and the mid to late. I've been Challenger for 7 years, and I can guarantee you that this will massively speed up your process and reaching any goal that you have set in mind. Both courses have a preview video where you can see the style of the videos, so check those out before anything. You can also always join my Discord to check out some reviews. Alright, let's get into the video. Could you just tell me a little bit more about yourself, your progression as a League player?
Yeah, I've been playing League since Season 1. That's why I have the Season 1 bronze icon up there. So I've been playing it on and off. And I haven't really been playing like super serious for most of the time. It's mostly now in the recent years that I would try to do a little bit more. I used to be a Jarvan full AD trick pony, and then that build fell off, so I transitioned to be Camille. So I've been playing Camille, Irelia, Fiora, Jace, also in Nidalee a very long time ago. But Camille now the last 2 years, and I've like really gone in depth trying to figure out like the best matchups, how to play the different matchups, etc, etc.
Okay, that was very detailed. I like that you're almost mainly like one-tricking Camille right now, which in my opinion is also one of the biggest benefits, because when you pretty much one-trick, you should know the rune setups you should take, your matchups, your summoners, your all-in windows, your trade patterns, stuff like this. Now, I played against you, so I can speak for this myself as well, but what I felt like that what you were very good at, especially in the game we played, is your mechanics.
Yes, thank you.
So, what would you say is stopping you right now from climbing consistently?
I've been having a lot of issues with bad teammates and making smurfs, unfortunately,
Alois.
which has
That
cost
guy's
me a lot
good.
of games. There
GL
are
to
sometimes
his
I
grind.
just completely mess up and do stupid things. Camille is also quite tricky to play in lane. She has a lot of very hard matchups, which can really set me behind. This game was a set, the 8-9-5, and the 12-2-4 against Yone, I get absolutely stomped in lane. Like, in the Yone game, I was 60 CS down by 11 minutes. He had 94 something, I had 34.
Okay. So first thing I will say is, you losing to Smurfs, that's fair. You losing to bad teammates, this happens to everybody, right? So, in that regard, I do feel like you've defaulted to blaming your surrounding instead of yourself. So that's one thing I will instantly always say. Because do you feel like you have a bad mentality in general, or like a bad relationship with the game, or you'd say like it's fine?
Not the best relationship, I'd say, because I do kind of default a little bit to this blaming environment. So you are correct in that. But there's been so many games I feel like there's nothing I can do. Like, I don't play perfect, and of course I would like to learn how to transition a lead or my power to carry the game, but sometimes it just feels like I can't do that.
Yeah, but if your mindset is there's not much, of course you're gonna have games where there's nothing you could have realistically done. I would say maybe these games around your MMR will be 20% of your games, where even if you were to play absolutely perfect, you can't carry the game, that's fair. But that is 20% of our games. The other 80%, you also have 20 games where you automatically win, and I would say around this MMR, there's 60% of the games where you're going to be able to at least impact them or still improve. If you have a, 0-10 bot lane, but you still made 2 crucial blunders that led to you losing the game, I want you to have a more responsible mindset where you're still focusing on your mistakes instead of focusing on the mistakes of your surroundings. Because ultimately, all you can control is yourself.
Sometimes I get completely trashed in lane, and I can go at lane like a 1-4 or something like that.
How would you say is the ratio? Would you say like you win most of your laning phase, or you lose most of your laning phases?
Maybe 50-60% I win the laning phase.
Okay, that's fair. Do you have any questions before we start, or should we just dive into the first vote? Now, my plan is mostly to dive into deep laning phase, because I think that's the most replicable thing to do. We can also look at full votes, but it's just gonna take, with 3 votes, we're gonna be busy for a super long time. So my goal was to mainly dive into the laning phase, improve your laning phase, because how I see it, right? I think your mechanics were absolutely... but I kind of did cut you off there. Would you say most of you that came from laning? It's kind of mixed, right? Either laning phase or mid to late.
It's mixed. I have... So Camille is a champion that it's very easy to go too deep, which has been a continuous issue with me. I go too deep into the team fights. So I get isolated and I picked off. Like, I dive into 4 people, which is a very, very bad habit I have.
Okay, I'm honestly really curious to see, because when I was playing against you again, to reiterate, I think you were averaging around 8.5 CS per minute, And after landing phase, but your average is also 6.4. Now I also see you barely build. You do it some games, but I don't see too many Hydra games from you. I feel like you mainly pivot into either a Maul or a Death Dance. I mean, you do it as well, but I don't see it too often, right? Where you don't go, like, as a habit, Hydra second. What do you feel like is the biggest reason for that?
It's mostly because I meet very tough lane opponents, which I struggle a lot with, and then I'm mostly full AD. So I meet Sat, I meet Aatrox, I meet something that like they have so much kill potential on me that I feel like I need to go something defensive in order to just survive the lane.
I feel like if you go defensive boots, then you kind of are in a good spot. But we can see that. Let's see. Yeah. I'm honestly very curious to go into your first game. So here we play into Set Hecarim. Now I really like to structure my gameplay from the get-go. If you watch any of my games, I always talk about the first 4 waves. So to me, it is very important to understand how strong we are, like as a 2v2 against their 2v2 in the early game, right?
Yeah.
And then the next step is to see where both junglers are pathing in the early game. And the biggest advice I can give you already when playing like any champion, honestly, in the early game is learning how to play your early waves more so around both jungler pathings instead of only looking to play your waves around the matchup, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
And that will lead to much more consistency, especially when we're left on weak side, but you can also make a better utilization of strong side. Now, the second thing that I always look at is setups. So I see Poppy's playing Dark Harvest, looks kind of aggressive. They have a face rush, Ghost Hecarim, not too scary in the early game, right? But they're having a set with Conqueror, Resolve, Flash Ignite. Probably are arguably the most aggressive setup they can run, right? I think you in this setup, you can run Conqueror, you can run Grasp. I would prefer running Grasp in a matchup like this because I'm mainly looking for short trades anyways, but Conqueror can still work as well. It's just a matter of how you're going to be approaching the matchups, how you're going to be approaching the trades. Okay, so you go for... Yeah,
I kind of forgot to run Grasp in that matchup. You usually go Grasp.
Yeah, because I feel like you're also counter-intuitive right now, where you go Conqueror, D-Shoot. It kind of feels like, at least how I perceive it, very often when you run Conqueror, I would want the D-Blade too, to match the aggression, right? So here, what I'd be looking to do is get a ward down right here. And if we get a ward down right here, we know where enemy jungle is going to be starting in the early... Oh, we have this ward. Never mind. We have this ward. So actually, right now, we will know what enemy jungle is doing in the early game, or at least what side is going to be clearing to, and we know what side our jungler is clearing to. Also, you have the smallest minimap I've ever seen, buddy.
I do keep a small minimap. Maybe I should make a little bit larger.
I would not be able to track anything going on this minimap. Yeah. I would definitely make it larger. That has to be the smallest minimap I've ever seen. Do you feel like... So just... looking at this pause frame right now, do you like this position? What is going through your mind when you see the laning phase here and everything happening in the early game?
In this matchup, I basically said that I'm not going to challenge this set. I'm only going to focus on getting a farm. It's basically what's going through my mind. Okay. Going the Conqueror is a mistake because I forgot to switch runes. Yep. And that's why I'm going to do my shield. I'm just going to survive this. The set beats me in every trade.
Hello, bro07.
I get items.
So what I've been seeing here is now... I partially agree with you. However, I do think that Camille can definitely still trade with Set in the early game. Multiple things that you have to your advantage. First of all, you have TP in the early game towards the Set, right? Yeah. So that is a good thing, and you can always play off cooldown with your W and with your passive. If he E's you, but you auto attack him whilst he E's you, you actually have a beneficial trade. So you definitely still have decent trade windows into the Set, even with Conqueror. Now, the biggest thing that I'd be looking into is that the fact is that a Poppy is most likely pathing to top, and from the looks of it, the Hecarim is starting here. So that means enemy Hecarim is pathing like this in the early game, whereas our jungler is pathing to top. And this means that we are currently strong-sided. So Poppy can of course choose to go like his buffs into his jungle, or like 3 camp clear into bot or into mid. But it is kind of uncommon very often if they start to clear here, they will at least enter clear in top side, right? So until we have verified Hecarim's pathing, maybe Hecarim is starting Raptors, but I wouldn't assume so. I'd assume he's starting here, but we'll be able to verify it. What would you say? So in these scenarios, right, when we're strong-sided, I would say if you lose half your HP, but Seth loses half his HP, who benefits?
Me.
Yeah, because your jungler is coming topside, right? So that's how I would be approaching this matchup. So even though this matchup is arguably, let's say, in terms of 1v1 worse for you, just because you have a strong side position, it doesn't matter too much what matchup you're facing right now, simply because of the benefit from being strong side. So this is, again, why I'd learned to play my waves and how I approach my matchup based on the early game jungle pathing instead of more so the 1v1 scenario. Okay, so I really like that you instantly check his starting item. I think that was your intention here. So how would you, with now that we talked about this, approach this?
I try to do a W on those 3 melee minions.
Okay, that's fair.
Keep away, take the W, and just let it push into me.
Okay, I think pushing into you is alright as well.
Yep. Like that, I hit him as well, which is like the best trade I can do there.
Yeah, I think it's fine. think it's okay. See, these trades are completely fine. As long as we have passive, then you're always able to trade like this, and now you can use W off cooldown again. He's gonna get level 2 though, so be careful of that. Were you... so that's one thing, right? Just checking level up timers, it goes for you, it also goes for your opponent. He's killed the first 6 minions, and now it's the first melee of wave 2. Obviously, he's gonna get level 2. You should be spacing backwards. This alt attack sucks a little bit. It's not the end of the world, though. Yeah, just be very mindful of level up timers. Okay, good. So good trading in the early game. Poppy is pathing to top, and here you get your own level 2. So the one thing that Seth is trying to do right here is a third wave crash, right? What I like to do in these scenarios is, whilst he's pushing into me, is I put my ward here. Because you should not be able to get ganked by the Hecarim here, I just put my ward here, so I verify that he's recalling, which could lead to you maybe cancelling his recall one time. Or just verifying that he's actually recalled. Because what is happening currently with the wave state, it's slow pushing towards you, right? What happens afterwards with the wave state?
I craft into my turret, and I lose a little bit of farm, and then it starts slow pushing into him.
It starts slow pushing into him, right? So even if you cancel his base once, let's say, in about 10 to 15 seconds from now, this entire wave crashes into your turret, right? Yeah. And you have this ward right here, you see the set recalling, you pass the means, and you cancel his recall once, he's already going to be in a very tricky scenario, because he's playing Flash Ignite. So if you mess up his reset timer once here, if he's done a third wave crash, not only is he going to be playing on the weak side, so he can't step up anymore, right? As Hecarim is clearly pathing into bot, and Poppy's pathing into top. Also, you're going to be able to lane lock him by slow pushing into him whilst he's playing with Flash Ignite. If you let him third wave crash here in the recall, then he's kind of out of the hard scenario. I think you're doing a good job the way you utilize your W. But yeah, that is why I think this ward is very, very good for you here. Okay, so... yeah, okay. I just wanted you to make it try and make it hard for him to look for a reset. Poppy wants to look. Yeah, this gank, kind of awkward timing. All good. I wouldn't keep chasing because... ultimately, this wave, and this is just, you have to be wary of this as well, but we can just calculate it, right? This is, what, 60 gold, and there's 14, how many times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can't math perfectly, but this is around half a kill, maybe even a bit more. And then also the EXP, right? So this is almost equivalent to a kill. Like, if we were to lose this in the early game, it's equivalent to getting solo killed almost. Moving here, I'd be very wary of the tempo that you want to make a small move. If he flashes here, fine, you go back. Because losing the cannon, in terms of goals, okay, getting the XP is still fine. So you E here, he flashes, I would honestly already go back. Or I would hold your E a little bit longer, and then E here. Two options, I guess. And I'm also kind of talking in hindsight, but here chasing is just a very bad idea. Oh, actually, Poppy does catch him.
It doesn't go very well.
Oh no, tragedy struck.
Okay. It goes very horrible.
It goes absolutely horrible. So this is a phrase I haven't even said, but this is one of my most, the phrase I use the most is, your laning phase is decided very often in the first 4 waves. As in, if your early game goes very well, you can probably think back to some of your recent games, right? If something like this happens in the first wave, everything happening after right now is going to be a result of what happened in the early game, right? Now, if your first waves go really well, then it also leads to a much more efficient laning phase. So right here, I would already say that, I mean, Seth, of course, got a double kill. He's already level 4, plus you lost actually 2 full minions, 2 full waves worth of minions. Because whilst we were chasing, there's actually another wave walking into the turret here. So you lost 2 full waves, and you traded 2 for 1. So like right now, you're so far behind that it's already going to be really hard to balance. The only thing I want to talk about is, what do you feel like you should be looking at right now coming back into laning phase?
Well, the wave is pushing into him, so I think I should just try to hard for a bit.
Okay, how do you make this decision? Because the thing is with League of Legends, there's like 2 ways to look at something, right? So you're saying to hard off this because that is your intuition. Instinctively, it feels good for you to hard push. But it's hard to explain. Can you try and explain logically why you'd want to hard push here? What are the things you look at to make this decision?
It's probably where my intuition is wrong, because I don't have a lot of pushing power as Camille, which is a big problem. So I would like to crush this wave to kind of reset it so it goes towards me again. Probably won't be able to do it, so I'm kind of stuck in a very hard place, which is what causes this game to become really, really difficult.
What I do, the steps that I take before ever hard pushing a wave, is looking at my minimap where my next wave is at. If your wave is here, that is also where enemy next wave is at, right? And then we will have to learn, through just actively doing this, how much time it takes for this wave to walk into lane. And then, because right now I can look at this wave and I can say, alright, it's probably better for me to slow push here, simply because I've done it so much. If you want to hard push, the one advice I can give you as well is actually slow push the minions. Hard push the casters first. And this is a general misconception a lot of players have. every time I do something or talk about this to people, say it's faster to kill the melees. What happens right now is all your minions are targeted onto his melees, right? If you kill a single melee minion, as you'll see right here, all your minions gonna have to take a step forward and re-aggro onto another minion. Okay, it doesn't happen here, but now, boom, all of them are gonna have to take a little step forward and have to re-aggro onto another minion, right? As you see, and this process repeats itself every time. They all have to re-aggro and they take a little step forward, etc, etc. This is a very lengthy progress. Instead, what you could have done, if you wanted to hard push this wave, it would have been better for you to actually focus these casters, because in the meantime, your melees are dealing with his melees and your casters are dealing with his melees, and then the minions can straight up walk into the turret. I think if you approach it that way, you could have hard pushed this wave in turret before this wave arrived. You see the difference? And this is a very big deal breaker, because as you can actually see, the 1 or 2 seconds of tempo that you could gain from hard pushing the minions here actually ends up being a difference from the wave crashing into the turret, because crashing a minion wave is not crashing it like close to enemy turret, it's actually making sure that your minions aggro onto enemy turret, right? Because if they aggro onto enemy wave, you're kind of still forced to stick there. So we want to try and get this wave to crash onto enemy turret, but it is tricky. The second thing is, if you see it here right now, right, this is kind of the position we'd want to avoid. So yes, here the better solution was to slow push, and again, it's going to take some practice for you to get familiar with the windows or the timers, but I just say look at your own wave, try to calculate how long it will take for the minions to walk here. I don't know the exact timers. I think from tier 2 it's 11 seconds, but I don't know the timer exactly. And then yeah, just try to learn how to slow push it correctly and then make it crash into the turret appropriately. That makes sense, right?
Yep.
Second question right now, where you reckon Hecarim is at currently in the game?
Actually, it should be around bot side, I think.
Yeah, it should be around his probably, right? Because this got already spent timer.
Yep, around the crab.
Where do you think the Hecarim is gonna go after he's taking this crab?
Bot lane is pushed in, our bot lane,
Yeah.
so there's little gank potential there.
And if
Steer
not?
in mid lane.
Yeah, and let's say he doesn't get gank windows. Let's say he just takes the scuttle, there's no gank windows.
I'm not sure.
Probably recall, right? Because he's done every camp. Where would he go after recalling?
Top again.
Right. So this is also why I want you to get this early game ward, because if we know his starting position, as in this is the where he started his clear, right? You know that after this full clear, after he ends up being here, do you also know how much farm he would have if he finished the scuttle?
I think it's 28.
Yeah, very good. So you know how to track jungle CS, very, very good. So then, if he shows on mid with 28 CS, you know exactly how many camps he's done, right? Let's say he ganks mid, then starts recalling. You know he's gonna go bot. Then he goes up top. Then he has 36 CS and ganks mid with, I don't know, some items. Then you also know he's farmed probably his 2 top set camps again. Where's he gonna go next? Go into bot set, right? So for jungle tracking, what I want you to do, every time you see a jungle on the map, press tab, you count the CS and you check their items. And then you always also know how to manipulate your waves around both jungle pathings.
Yep, that makes
Perfect.
sense.
I feel like you have a lot of knowledge in the terms of that it comes very natural to you, what I'm saying. You don't really have to think about it much. Do you feel like you're able to utilize this into your gameplay as well?
Not all the time.
Okay.
I have a tendency to get a little bit tunnel vision sometimes, and sometimes my concentration becomes too focused on the lane, so that's probably why. So
What do you focus on during the lane? Is it killing your opponents, or what do you focus on during the lane?
not necessarily killing my opponents, just make sure I get all the minions. I have a tendency to, since sometimes I run with Doran's shield and sometimes with Doran's blade, I sometimes miss my last hits because of the missing 3 damage or something, which makes me over-focus on getting the minions, I think sometimes.
Okay, but if we do that, like if we have to think very deeply about the mean last hits, then of course you're losing too many things, right? In the sense of if ever... So what I'd be thinking, as in, if you're thinking in terms of laning phase, you see how I'm mainly talking about that I manage my waves more so around the junglers, right? In the early game, but also mid to late, or in the laning phase still. Then we need to be thinking about how to crash a wave accordingly and set up reset timers. So here, for example, when we're playing against the set earlier, when he was laning right here, remember how I was mainly talking about looking for a way to deny his reset instead of anything else, because on the bounce we'd be in a very good position because he's playing Flash Ignite, right? Those are the kind of thought processes that I would want you to be thinking about, as they're very consistent and they will ultimately lead to good positions consistently. So the main things that I'd be talking about in laning phase would be level up timers. So every time I'm very close to a level up, I'd be thinking about that, and my opponent's level up timers. I'd be thinking about reset timers, wave manipulation, jungle tracking. Those are the things that I think you should be thinking about during laning phase. And of course that ties in with how you last it and stuff like this, but that shouldn't be something you lose your focus on.
Yeah, okay. I agree.
So here, yeah, you should have slow pushed to hard push, and now you've put yourself in a very dangerous position, right? Because this is close to his happy spot, and it's going to be very tricky to crash away from here. Oh. And Hecarim ends up being topside at a very strange timer. No, actually he's done double scuttle, I guess, yeah. So here I'll press tab, and I'm guaranteeing you he has 32 CS. Do we press tab? I'd want you to press tab. Oh, we pressed tab very briefly.
I noticed that I pressed tab very briefly. When I watch my recordings, I don't know how I managed to catch anything from that.
That's fine. There you go, right? So he's 32.
Yeah.
So there's a very good chance right now that Hecarim, having overstayed to 420 already, is probably going to do this, and then probably recall. Or he could recall and instantly go back, right? But at least we know where Hecarim is going to be at. But I just feel right now your laning phase is absolutely doomed. And you can't come back from this simply because how your first 4 waves went. So to me, watching the rest of this VOD is very useless because you're already stumped. As in, everything that's going to happen right now is a result of what happened at level 3. So, focusing on those first 4 waves. Okay.
We do win this game, though.
Well played, brother. All you. Okay. So, let's take a look again. First 4 waves. What's going through your mind when you press tab here?
I know this is Volibear. Volibear is a very difficult matchup early game against Camille. So I'm going second win. I'm going Doran's play Doran's shield so that I can just heal from his lightning. Basically, I try to get the lightning to hit me at set intervals, so I reproc the Doran's shield all the time, and I just make sure I get farm. This is not a lane I'm going to win, so I try to farm it. Try to get I know he's most likely going to push towards me and freeze on the. So I try to get a freeze on my tower. Of course, that's going to be very difficult because I know I have no pushing power back.
Okay.
So that's what I'm thinking.
Okay, I agree in a sense that this matchup is, like, in theory bad, but what I would say is that Volibear is much weaker level 1 than you are level 1. So you can also revert. You would disagree? I think if you have Deep Blade, Ignite, Teleport, and you go Q start, there's no way that he can trade with you in a good way. I guess he could, like, spawn E and then maybe trade that way. I guess you can kind of trade even. But, no, I'm trying to think. Actually, I do think Volibear always gets prio against level 2 first, if he plays it accordingly. But if he goes W start or stuff like this, I feel like you can get your level 2 first and probably get lane control that way. So you can kind of feel it out, but you can approach this matchup both ways. But I would still and definitely try to play more aggressive into the Volibear level 1. If he has W, I think you hard win the trade. If he has E, he can win the trade, you can win the trade, depending on how it plays out, right? If he dodges E, you probably still win the trade. And if he plants his E on all the means, he gets prio. If he doesn't plant his E on the means, you can get prio. Ultimately, if you play a bad matchup, let's say you play, I don't know, Camille here into Volibear, if you get your level 2 first, it's still a winning matchup simply because you get level 2 first, right? So that's kind of the mindset that I want to get into as well. We have a much stronger early game jungler than a Diana. If Jarvan path stop, very good for us. If Diana, again, if we're strong-sided, right, you can also arguably say that looking for traits in the early game benefits you. Yep. Now, if you play a losing matchup, like a losing matchup, it is going to be a losing matchup. Because if you give Volibear the priority, he will keep having priority, and in my opinion, Volibear is weak as level 1, level 2, and then from level 3 onward, it's gonna be really tricky trading into him with all his abilities, and then he's just like a very big stat check champion, right? But if you get, like, I don't know, a nice 4-5 crash into this champion, this matchup can look completely different. You understand my statement there, that if you play a losing matchup like a losing matchup, it will always be a losing matchup. Alright, so again, the Jarvan is pathing into us, so we're in a good position, and here I would have utilized the fact that they have a kind of weak early game, right? Arya has to recall here. So what I'd be looking to do is get my ward down right here. They have a Diana, they have a Volibear, they have an Arya, you get your ward down, you get your ward down Raptors. We're going to rip off either, but Golem's not going to work here, so rip off or Raptors, just so we know where Diana's starting in the early game and how she's pathing. We just need to know where she's pathing in her first clear. Jarvan is coming topside though.
Yeah, Jarvan's also my pre-made in this game.
Okay, would you not argue that you can just trade this guy here?
If I start Q, probably. W is quite difficult because it's I need to keep a distance to full damage with it.
Sure, but W, you slow him down, you come towards him, you give an auto attack, you dip out again. You can definitely utilize your passive and your W off cooldown, no?
Cooldown is very long.
I know, but ultimately, if you're gonna get pushed in regardless, you can still use the cooldowns. You've already wasted 10 seconds in this matchup doing nothing. Looks like he had W start. Now he has full priority, right? And that is also because of your passive approach to this laning phase.
Yeah.
I can see a game where if I'm playing this matchup, I would have gotten or contested prio or traded more HP, which I think would benefit me. Especially if this guy is your pre-mate. You could down like this guy to come to top early after his third camp as well. And also, if the Volibear doesn't crash his wave here, as he's not doing, Jarvan could run top right now and gank this Volibear. Lane over for him. Because it's going to be very tricky for this guy to crash wave 3. As in this timer here, what you can do is just 3 camps, right, like this, and gank top. Volibear is forced to walk up for last hits. If you kill him here, then like his game's over. Doing a pretty good job trading, but he gets the third wave crash into again, also as a result of us playing so passive level 1. So now even though this guy's on the weak side, he just gets the third wave crash and neutralizes the matchup into you. It's okay though. So here, there's one trick we can do. So 2 options here. Whenever the wave is under my turret like this, I kind of like to push it a little bit more, as in get as many hits in as I can. Camille is tricky to do this with, of course, right? But you're trying to do your best. But since you can do this right here, is what you can actually do is stand right here, right now. Now, you will sacrifice a few last hits, but you also have your W to maybe get 1 or 2. But ultimately, what this is going to do is stop this wave from walking into your turret, right? And that allows the wave to actually meet here in a more so neutral position, and then the Volibear is still, it is going to slow bounce back into the Volibear, but as I'm saying, it's going to slow bounce. If this means walking to the turret, it will start hard bouncing towards him, but if you hold it here, it will meet here, and it's going to be a lot slower to bounce back, so you can get more waves. You can probably get your Sheen on this bounce very easily, plus you will always have a very easy time last hitting, because Volibear is extremely vulnerable looking for any last hit here, right? So you also get very good trade windows. You're gonna get your level 4 first, because you're gonna get the minions first, so you're gonna have a lot of advantages in the scenario. Maybe you can look for the kill opportunity. In the meantime, like I said, you're never gankable, Volibear is super gankable. So here I would always hold the wave. Those are like the positives you get from holding it here. And all you lose is maybe 3 casters, max. So now the wave hard bounces. The other advantage you would have gotten is, you see here, if this would have met neutral, and none of these minions walk into the turret, the Volibear would also lose maybe 4 minions. Okay, well, Volibear does a funny.
Yeah, they are very active in the jungle, both Diana and Volibear this game.
Okay, we get the kill. There's one thing I want to talk about.
Yeah.
So, I like you going here in a way, but I would actually call this off.
Okay.
And the biggest reason as to why is by default, your move is already bad. As in, if you look at this wave state, what's happening right now? Well, it's gonna hard push towards your opponent, right? You know, also, if you kill this melee, you get this cast, you get level 4. That would be your level 4 level timer. But the thing is here, if we move from here, so this is a very tricky thing a lot of people struggle with, right? If your jungler gets invaded in scenarios like this, should we help out our jungler or should we play for ourselves? So here, if we move, right, by default, we're already going to be behind 0-1. Why? You're going to lose all these minions, plus most of next wave, because the wave is hard pushing towards the Volibear due to the nature of our wave state being a lot bigger, right?
Yeah.
Okay, to add on to that, what would you say is the risk to reward of this fight? Diana, Volibear, Jarvan, Camille? I feel like it's very flippy. I can't tell you who's going to win. If you lose the skirmish, it's going to be 0-2. Because you lost the wave and you lost the skirmish. If you win the skirmish, it's going to be 1-1. You won the skirmish, but you lost your wave still. So here, the risk to reward for me is not worth it to move here. And all you're fighting for is a Grom that Jarvan could just give up as well.
The problem is that it puts Jarvan a lot behind if this happens.
Well, if you die here, your game is over. So I don't care if Jarvan loses one Grom. If you lose this wave plus next wave, your game is literally over. Because not only are you going to have a trouble like playing out this scenario, once you get back to laning phase, it's going to be frozen here, you still can play the game. You're going to be levels down, XP down, gold down. So yeah, I don't care about one Gromp for the Jarvan. And I would have taken one cast to secure my level 4 before moving as well. You see my reasonings?
Yeah, no, I do. I just think that Jarvan would not be very happy about that happening.
Yeah, but I don't care. Frankly, I think, especially in these scenarios, it is much more beneficial for you to be more selfish.
It's also very bad that Talia dies to Aura there.
Yeah, and I mean, we missed some of our abilities, but now you see the result is we've lost 1.5 waves.
Yep, and now he gets a free stun off there.
Yeah, so also here, as a force of habit, one of the most broken things to get in any early game reset is refillable. This is a thing I see in a lot of like mid-MMR players, that they prioritize pink wards and they don't buy potions. This refillable right here, I think it heals you for 100 each, so 200 HP, which is more than a Ruby Crystal for 150 gold. And if you do an equal health trade into Volibear, you lose half your HP, he loses half your HP, but you have 2 refillables, you go back to almost full and he is still half HP. What does a pink ward do for you here? What do you think Diana's going after this topside, where she was just topside?
I wasn't really thinking about it. Picking up the pink ward there is more force of habit.
Yeah, so fix that habit, get potions instead in the early game, but back to the point, you should know exactly where Diana's going. I haven't seen it, but I know right now as well. Where did Diana's clear end up ending, right? It was like this, right? She was level 4 and ended up clearing to here. So she's obviously going to here again. So you don't even need the pink ward. Because this wave is pushing to Volibear. Most likely what you do is you buy Refillo, you TP back right here. You should TP back, because if you don't TP back, you're losing out on minions. You push out the wave, get it to crash into his turret. The wave will bounce back into you. What do we need the pink ward for? Right? So pink ward does nothing. Not TPing results into you losing another full cannon wave. So now we've lost 1.5 waves from going for the skirmish. Now you don't TP, you lose another wave. 2.5 waves. I can tell you a full cannon wave is around 200 gold. The other wave is around 130 gold. Plus, let's say 60 gold. So you've lost 400 gold right here in the early game. Plus all of the XP. Which equals to around, I don't know, 700 gold worth of gold and experience. So now back to my original statement. What's the risk to reward here? You like this move? Hell no!
No.
There should not even be a doubt in your mind. I don't care about this Gromp.
Yep.
Could not give a shit. And you see also as to why you should have TP'd here. You know what's happening to lane. Come on, look at it.
Yeah, it's pushing into him, so I'm gonna lose that cannon wave.
Yes, and he's going to hold it there. So by not TPing, look here. Now you're even losing more. You've lost the full cannon wave plus 2 extra melees. Might as well FF.
Yep.
Still frozen. Now Diana's coming back into the top side as well, by the way. Okay, but at least Volibear pushed it back. So now we're level 5 to level 6. You see also how the Volibear had no HP? Or like no potions? If we had TP back with Refillable unplayed here, we could have gotten some trades in. Without him having potions, we'd be in a good position too. Okay, I feel like you're too... I mean, here moving is actually okay, because the wave is somewhat frozen. But I don't like how much of a... I don't know. I guess... I ends up being a good position here, it's okay. But is it just because of your duo? Do you feel like you're always so inclined to help your teammates out?
I always try to help my teammates out.
Okay, I would play way more selfish, and I would be not so much of a, how would you say it, people pleaser in your games. Especially because, like, if you play Ornn, if you play, I don't know, Karma top, go play like that. But as Camille, as a bruiser that has literally the most expensive items in the game, don't play like that. Because you're gonna flip out your game so much. And I think the risk to reward ratio in a lot of scenarios that we looked at is just not going to end up being well for you. Again, here, what's the fastest way to push this wave?
Do the caster minions.
Very good. So, always do that first. Don't hit the melees. You'll actually save a lot of tempo by hitting the casters. Okay, yeah, it's a crash. Yeah, it's a kind of a flippy skirmish, but maybe you can out-mechanic it. This guy's the flash. Nice. Oh, I'll try to last edit, but happens. Alright, to me, we can leave it here for laning phase. Do you have any questions about this laning phase?
No, the only thing is about when their enemy jungler and top lane are invading my jungler as much as I do in this game. So I feel like I need to respond somehow. So otherwise it sets my jungler back as much, and it could also have a negative effect on the mentality of some people, depending on how it goes, right?
Yeah.
And in that case, it's I do kind of get like this kind of, I guess you could say, people pleaser. That I don't want to. I feel like the Volibear is my responsibility, and I need to kind of respond to him when he tries to do something like that.
Yeah.
So it makes it quite hard to do.
Fair.
To do this decision.
Two things. You tell your jungler to not path top. You play more aggressive in the early game. Those are your two options. If you can't do those, and your opponent gets prio. Sometimes your opponent just gets prio. Sometimes you have to lane against a Rumble or a Darius or a Quinn that just gets prio in the early game. And if that happens, it's not your job to hold your lane opponent, because ultimately they get prio due to the nature of the champion. If your jungler then dies and even you ping them, you've done your job, you can't do much more. But you should not literally flip your own laning phase or completely even lose it, if anything, to prevent your jungler maybe getting upset.
Yeah.
That's just pure people pleasure. Also, this is a guaranteed kill window. You get your Q1 right here with your level up timer. This Volibear is dead.
Okay.
You disagree? E into Q2.
Yeah.
And then you ult his E, and you Q1 again with ignite to cancel his healing from his W. You get Q2 again. He cannot escape. Look at his items. Look at your items. This is a kill. The only reason this is a kill is because you also at least match the level up timer. But this guy can never kill you right here. You W into EQ2. This guy should be dead. 100%.
Yeah.
Diana here. Jarvan here, you don't even need it. This guy's 1,000,000% dead. You got everything. Okay, dokie. Last matchup here. What are we looking at in the early game?
So I know I'm playing as an Aatrox, which is also a rather rough matchup, because Aatrox has really long cooldowns on his Q. So it is possible to try to play around that. But again, I am usually deciding to play it a little bit more passively. Just because that's how I usually do it.
Okay, so that's where I think I'm gonna cut you off there. That's a big issue in your gameplay. If Camille loses prior to Aatrox in the early game, you're trolling blatantly. Like you're purely trolling. Your trade windows into like the thing is Aatrox can't sustain in the early game due to his long cooldowns. Besides him hitting passive onto you, and you can always get priority in this matchup. W, walk up to him, auto attack him, you get your level 2 first, you get your E, this champion cannot play into him. Also, if you trade HP in the early game, it's very beneficial for you, it's only harder for him. Because you have more sustain with W and he cannot really trade that back. So, in this matchup, you should play as aggressive as you can in the early game. Just go D-Blade with your Ignite Teleport setup, and you do not let Aatrox get to P. How I see this matchup, level 1 to level 5, Camille hard wins, even at level 1. Then after first recall, level 6, level 7, Aatrox starts winning because he gets items, he gets HP and lower cooldown on his Q that deals more damage, so also sustains him. And then after 1 mythic, Camille wins again. So level 1 to 5 you win, then Aatrox wins, and then you win. So we want to try and really utilize that 1 to 5, because if we don't, then if Aatrox gets prio, he can win the level 1 to level 5, then he wins at the first recall, and then you only start winning at your first mythic. So I feel like your general perception of the matchup is very bad, and I see this 3 games in a row now, that you just have a very, very passive approach to your early game. If I play Camille, I play it, I don't know, would you approach Alois and Mordekaiser matchups the same way? Would you let them push you in?
Yes.
So this is a hard losing matchup for me, right? Let's face it, this is a hard losing matchup for me. But you see that I've went double adaptive, so I have 87 AD, D-Blade, I went Alacrity, and I just went my Resolve second. So very similar setup to what you have currently.
Yep.
Right? But instead of letting myself get pushed in, look what I do. So I play very aggressive, I start here, I do W, instantly auto-attack him, and auto-attack, right? This is what I mean with utilizing my cooldowns whenever I have them. Because this is just already super good.
Yep.
And you're allowed to do this against Mordekaiser, you're allowed to do this against Alois, Aatrox, any of these matchups. So now with securing prio with my movement as well, what I'm planning on doing is trying to secure my level 2 first. Now, if you did not know, there's 2 different ways to get your level 2 in the early game. It is either the first 6 minions, right, of wave 1, and 1 melee of wave 2. Or you do the first 5 minions of wave 1, so then I would choose these 2, and 1 melee wave 2, with this caster still being alive, you also get your level 2. Why? Because melees give more XP than casters.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure I'm going to utilize that game. As I'm walking backwards, I only need this one and this one, right? 1 melee and a caster. I can leave one of these casters alive. Okay, Alois stands very far back. So here you see I already have a completely different early game. Okay, do you know the timer for your level 3?
Not completely.
Okay, so that is also a thing that I'll be talking about. I'm going to write them out for you. They are very important for yourself, but also when you get pushed in worse matchups. Okay, so here, another thing that is very important to recognize is I'm going to sync, or generally speaking, what you want to try and do is sync your cooldowns with your level up timers. Because ultimately, if you get your level up but you don't have your cooldowns, you're not as oppressive, right? If you have your level up and you have your cooldowns, you can look to pressure a lot more. So here I use my W. And then I'm gonna get my E from this minion. Oh, I actually E him before because he's already walking up. But the minions are killing him, right? Yep. So that's why I actually get a very beneficial trade. And you would never be able to get these scenarios if you let yourself get pushed in as Camille. Yep. So you see here how I utilize my level 3. And just because of that, I've actually won this matchup now. Again, those first 4 waves. And then I just dive him. And now my matchup is good. I can show you another example. So here again, I look for priority. And up until Masters, by the way, I can easily get solo kills just utilizing those level up timers in the first waves and just playing aggressive that way. So here, I'm gonna get my level 2, right? I'm gonna stop hitting these minions. Why? Because I want to try and at least sync my cooldowns a little bit with my level up timers, right? So here I stop, I step a little bit backwards. By stepping backwards, I bait to walk up, and then boom, I get my level 2, pick E, and here I get a beautiful trade. So here, I already argue that I've kind of dominate my laning phase, just utilizing the level up timer level 2. Now this is a Masters player. In Emerald they'll fall for this a lot easier.
Yep.
Okay, continuing from there, how many minions did I need on wave 3 to get my level 3? Yeah, caught you there, bro. It was 2 melees.
Yeah, first 2 waves plus 2 melees, yes.
Oh yeah, watch this, okay? So that's 1 melee. I'm not gonna use my Q on these minions. This is the minion that gets me level 3, right? So you see here, as Camille, what I'm doing, whilst I'm gonna get my level 3, I'm already in mid-air, now I'm gonna get my level 3 from this, and that's how I utilize my trade here onto the Kled. So now I get a wonderful trade, you see it's almost dead. I kind of skipped through it, but it's because it's an example. Now you see, how can he play his laning phase from this, right?
Yep.
And now, as a result of that, I actually end up diving him, he misplays a little bit, game over.
Yep.
But, coming back to your game, if we're playing passive every early game, how are you ever going to be having a good laning phase? You can't control your wave if you let yourself get pushed in every game. And again, what is the most important part of our laning phase? Those first 4 waves. You're playing a champion that is very strong in the first 4 waves. In a lot of matchups, especially with the correct setup. When you play Conqueror Grass, you can have 90 AD almost level 1. You're super impressive. You're not forced to run Tenacity this game. You just go Conqueror with Alacrity, right, in your runes, then you go double Adaptive, and you shit on this guy in the early game.
Yeah.
But if you let yourself get pushed in, you go Doran's Shield again. Okay, well, do go to D-Blade. You do have, I guess, attack speed, which I would go on double Adaptive and then not run Tenacity, actually.
Okay.
Also, I wouldn't leash. Because if you leash, then you also get looked to for priority. And again, look at your safe setup. It's like, yeah, let me just get, scared of Aatrox in the early game, I guess.
Yep.
You're gonna get level 2 here. Okay, so here we could have focused the caster and gotten level 2 here.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't look like a very bad matchup for me in the early game here. Okay, he also completely griefed it. Why did you walk away? I'll continue trading.
To not get the third Q.
I guess Q3 plus his pass. No, it's okay. It should walk away, actually. But now you should be walking forward then, no? You just use Q3 and passive.
Yep.
So, okay. I don't like you starting with your W here. I would just start auto-attacking him in. Just auto-attack. Right? Auto-attack. And then get your Q, ignite, and then when you ease away, then you W. Like, this guy's almost dead. Alright, careful, because now he only needs 2 melees for level 3.
Yes. And here's probably I make a fucking mistake, I think.
And here is also what I wanted to see. You see here by trading with the Aatrox in the early game, who's the benefactor?
Yeah, I am.
You.
He's missed basically all his Qs as well.
Yeah, fair. That is definitely fair. And it's kind of easier for you to sidestep it, right? But also you get your passive and your cooldown. You have sustain. He does not. That's why this matchup is very good for you to trade in the early game. But you don't respect his level up timer. And that is your mistake. And that's why your matchup gets shit. And this is why you want priority. Same thing where you could have maybe held the wave outside of the turret again, you see? Said you let the minions walk into the turret, so now it's hard bouncing.
And here I think I overstay, because he's backed out, I haven't. I think he kills me.
I think you can kill him here. You get your level 5, you should fight him, he's dead.
Today we talked to the most calculating and one of the most
simply because level up timers. Do you know how many stats you gain around in gold wise for level ups? It's around 600 gold.
Yeah.
Because you get around, I don't know, 80 HP, you get AD, you get armor, you get attack speed, all those stats, right? So here when you level up, you go from 950 to what? Alright, you get AD, you get attack speed, you get your armor, you go to 1030, you should all in him.
Yep.
You see it?
Yeah.
That's what those level timers do. That's what priority is.
Yep.
But now you don't fight him when you were stronger. Okay, you do get the kill. Nice. Again, brother, pink ward here for what? Get your refillable, you griefer. What are you gonna do with a pink ward? Bad habit. You lose 1 trade right now. Good luck laning. Imagine you had refillable, you take 1 trade with him, and you can sustain and he cannot. GG. Stop buying that pink wards. Worst habit. Okay, you just get better jungler. You see how most of the result of what happened in your laning phase again was kind of because you didn't get prior in the early game.
No, I was gonna say that I think the part of why I end up playing so passively is because previously I used to play very aggressively in lane, and that caused me to do mistakes, which cost me my life, or I forget to watch out for the jungler and they gank me. So in response to that, I end up playing very safe and in the hopes that I get pushed in so the jungler can help me out.
Yeah, but now you see how that's a very inconsistent mindset because ultimately it all revolves around that early game pathing if you're strong-sided or weak-sided. I would just learn to track the junglers in the early game and then you can make a plan because there are going to be games where you should be playing passive in the early game. When is that? When your jungler's pathing to bot and enemy jungler's pathing to top right? Then you should be playing passive in the early game. So there's going to be games where you're allowed to play aggressive, and there's going to be games where you should be playing passive. Yeah, I'm very curious to see how your progression will be, because when you were facing me, I was very impressed with your mechanics. But that was it. So you have that going for you. Your mechanics are good, but that's only one step of the way. Yeah. So lower your devs, improve your laning phases, learn to balance when to play aggressive, when to play safe. And I think in terms of mechanics, you can get way higher than where you're currently at. It was good. maybe
Yeah.
we can see in like a week or two. You can reach out, tell me how it's going, and because I believe in terms of mechanics you can hit masters. When I was playing against you though, maybe you were playing an amazing game, so maybe I'm wrong as well. But that was my feeling during that game. So I want to see how far we could get. Would be amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can try to see me in a week's time. Thank
All
you
right.
very much.
Yo, have an amazing day, bro.
Yeah. Bye.
See ya. Boss mans. I hope you guys enjoyed the coaching. If you guys don't know, last game we were playing on Wednesday last week. Wednesday was my last stream. We were playing against this guy, and he was very good. Like, he had 8.3 assists per minute as Camille against my Riven. And I think I started the game like 2-0, 3-0. I was like 3-1. And then he just completely, like, he took the game back in control so hard, and it was very hard for me to play. So I was like, no way that this guy's an Emerald player, right? I thought this guy was really, really good. And then it turns out he was just, to put it that way, a hard stock Emerald player. He's 51% with Emerald. So I was shocked, because these guys' mechanics are really, really good. So then I said, if this guy would be down, we could try a coaching session. So that was that. We'll upload the video of this game tonight, and then we'll probably upload the coaching session too. Now, did you guys learn something new from the OPA? From the what's it called? From the coaching session?